Well, good afternoon, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I have to say that I don't want to miss any protocol, but as I can barely see you, I doubt that I can even recognise the ministers that are in the room. But to all distinguished delegates, I'm going to use the Ghanaian phrase, with all protocols observed, so that you are all included, whatever your distinguished rank, whatever your participatory role in the conference, in our welcome to this session on combating child labour in supply chains. My name is Simon Steyne, and I want to introduce you first to the names of our experts, and then I'll tell you a little bit about them. To discuss good and promising practice, we have Pilar Mendes from CONETI, the National Committee for the Eradication of Child Labour in Argentina, and from the Network of Businesses Against Child Labour in Argentina. From El Salvador, we have Rosy Vilma Rodriguez from Fundazúcar, the Sugar Producers Association Foundation. From Mars Incorporated, Jeff Morgan, and from the American Center for International Labor Solidarity, the AFL-CIO's Solidarity Center in the United States, Tim Ryan. And I'm your moderator, Simon Steyne. I'm the head of social dialogue and partnerships in the ILO's international program on the elimination of child labor. Before I tell you something about me and our panel, I've got some requests. First of all, I'm going to go forward first of all. No, hang on. Something's missing. First of all, please turn your cell phones either to silent or vibrate. If you're going to fall asleep, vibrate is more fun. And I'm going to quote a former chair of the ILO governing body, the former Minister of Labour of South Africa, Shepardum Dadlana, who, when he first took the chair of the governing body, said to the governing body, "Look at my face. I am old and I'm ugly." So if you think I'm angry when your cell phone rings in the middle of a meeting, you're mistaken. It's just because my face is old and ugly. He also said, and no ringtones that are not cool will not be allowed, and he would be the arbiter, the sole arbiter of what was cool. So please put your cell phones to silent or vibrate. Yesterday, I think we again today have some relay interpretation, so don't panic if you don't immediately hear your preferred language in your headphones. It may come a few seconds later. Please, when you speak, speak slowly and clearly. Be brief and to the point so that we can include as many speakers as possible, but also allow our expert panel to really discuss these matters in depth. And when you speak, please give your name, your organisation and your country. So, what I'd like to propose for this afternoon is that we start with the presentations of our panel. We discuss the first question together. What I'm going to do, with your permission, is ask for 4 questions about each of the questions we're asked to answer from the floor. And I will do my best as your moderator to synthesise the key points from those 4 questions, and then we'll ask the panel to chew over them before giving it back to the floor. We'll do that 3 times, and then we'll open the floor completely for the rest of the afternoon for a more open discussion amongst all of us. There'll be a coffee break. We are starting now 15 minutes later than planned, but we have agreement from our very kind colleagues in the interpreting booths to continue until 6:15. Now, I know you'll all want to be upstairs for the concert at 6:30, so wherever we are, I intend to call a halt to the discussion at 5:45, so that the panel can give their closing comments before you go and enjoy your evening. So let me first of all introduce our expert panel. I'm Simon Steyne. I'm the head of social dialogue and partnerships in the ILO's international program on the elimination of child labour. Just so you know, I've been working on different aspects of supply chain management, fundamental rights in supply chains, business and human rights issues in various capacities for about 20 years, starting with the toy industry, sporting goods, surgical instruments, wine, that was a very nice bit, I enjoyed that, floriculture, horticulture, garments, cotton, tobacco and cocoa. So I've worked mainly in the agricultural sector and the textile, garment and leather sector on the work that I've done. Our panel too reflect that spread of expertise, primarily agricultural supply and value chains and the textile, garment and leather, but not exclusively. I was on the board of the Ethical Trading Initiative in the United Kingdom for 10 years, worked on labour inspection and child labour with the ILO, including during the 5 years I spent as a governing body member of the ILO. And since 2008, I've been working in IPEC at the headquarters in Geneva, and my little section is responsible for work with the social partners, for our work with the worldwide movement, for public-private partnership funded projects in supply chains, and we also are the secretariat for the ILO Global Compact Child Labour Platform. And apart from that, I advise the boards of the International Cocoa Initiative, the End Child Labour in Tobacco Growing Initiative, and AIM Progress, the group of large branded companies. And I'm also pleased to still be an IPEC observer on the board of the Global March Against Child Labour. Pilar Reméndez, who will be our first speaker, is a lawyer and a specialist in labour law and social security, and she teaches at the University of Buenos Aires. She's been involved since 1998 as an expert for her government in Mercosur working groups on child labour, and is presently a member of the executive unit of the Mercosur Regional Plan for the Prevention and Eradication of Child Labour. Since 2005, she's been president of CONETI, Argentina's National Committee for the Eradication of Child Labour, and also she's been president of the steering committee of the National Business Network Against Child Labour. Rosa Vilma Rodriguez Rossi is executive director of Fundazúcar, the Sugar Foundation, which seeks to benefit sugar-growing communities in El Salvador through responsible business practices, including as a key pillar the elimination of child labour. Rossi has been involved in this work for well over a decade. She studied numerous aspects of business administration in universities in El Salvador and in Spain. And as executive director of Fundazúcar, she is responsible for the foundation's national action programmes. She's a member of the Employers National Labour Committee of El Salvador's National Employers Centre, ANEP, and she's also a civil society representative in the National Committee for the Eradication of Child Labour in El Salvador. Jeff Morgan is co-president of the International Cocoa Initiative and director of global programmes for Mars Incorporated, based at its headquarters in Virginia, USA. His work focuses primarily on the cocoa and chocolate supply chains, and as we'll hear at the moment, especially in an important programme in Côte d'Ivoire, which works in partnership with ILO IPEC in developing a community-based child labour monitoring system. And the Mars emphasis, as you will hear, is very much in promoting better productivity, yields, working practices in cocoa growing communities in Côte d'Ivoire. And finally, Tim Ryan is the Asia Regional Programme Director for the AFL-CIO Solidarity Centre based in Washington, DC. He's spent nearly a decade in Asia as the Solidarity Centre's representative in Sri Lanka and in Indonesia. And now he oversees the Solidarity Centre's programmes and offices in Asia. I think I counted at least 14 countries, but I'm sure it's more, Tim, where you have either offices or programmes. Rather like me, Tim started his work on child labour and bonded labour in South Asia in the early 90s. Tim is also the North American board member of the Global March Against Child Labour. He's published extensively numerous articles, and he's also a rather wonderful novelist. So that's our panel this afternoon, and I hope you'll join me in welcoming them and wishing them a good debate. So first of all, we're going to turn the order of speakers slightly on its head. We're going to have some discussions of what looks like good and promising practice first, with examples from the region, from the Latin American region, from El Salvador and from Argentina. Then Jeff is going to speak, and finally Tim. 3 will use PowerPoint presentations. Tim, as a novelist, of course, will speak poetically and beautifully, without pictures, because he paints his pictures with words. Let me pass, first of all, the clicker to Pilar, and I'd like to invite you, dear Pilar, to begin with your presentation. Thank you very much, everybody, and welcome again.